Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is September 15th and here to talk about what I did over the weekend and accomplished today. So we will start with the weekend stuff. Oh, this is weird jittering. Hop down here to, yes, this level. I'll talk about this monstrosity in a second. So I did accomplish my goal and bred every single color bee. Not gonna lie, this was very monotonous task, and I would not. I don't know if I'd say not recommend it, but I would definitely give yourself something else to do during the process. So for me, the reason I settled in and finally knocked this out was I was in real life. I had a giant stack of cards that been needing to sort for like quite literally years at this point, like the amount of cards that have just been piled there. So I actually got that all sorted out in real life while keeping an eye on and swapping out, like doing all the steps to breed, because basically for like every cycle, even with the 3 frenzy flames, it's still 10 seconds. I've tried setting up a world accelerator for the single block apiary, but doesn't seem to speed it up that much, so maybe in later tiers that'll help more, but at the moment it wasn't. That's what I'm working with. So anyways, I got all these set up. Decided to just go with industrial apiaries just in case at some point I want to speed up the production of this. At the moment, we can see that the process is actually not keeping up. So I might change this sooner than later. I kind of didn't want to. Actually, I don't even know why this isn't on. Why is this not working? Salt. I see. I am short on salt, so that might be something I have to address. But basically, I set up this quad reactor because it takes, quad chemical reactor to basically process the comb. So, like, say this black comb, we have to centrifuge it. We get out the black colored honey drop, and then we mix that with some salt and some sulfuric acid, and we get the chemical dye. Drop the chemical dye on these guys and get out the actual dye. So all these ones that are at 64 means they are fully backlogged, so that's kind of cool. And then we got these guys over here, which is where the actual dye is being stored, so I won't be able to show it. So it does seem like it's keeping up enough. I do just have these guys filtered and being deleted. I've got thousands of this stuff. I don't need it. I think if I ever need piles of chemical dye in the future, I'll, instead of doing these guys, because the process is really fast even in single blocks, I'll just do 16 single blocks and kind of like have the iteration stack set up. But for the moment, seems fine enough, especially if all these guys are actually starting to back up with stuff, which it seems like only chemical purple doesn't have anything, and 2 of these ones, so that's interesting. I wonder why. But yeah, so I'll definitely have to address the salt either way, because I use salt for several things, and that's kind of frustrating that I'm running out. But it might just be, I might just set up the salt bee in an industrial. Actually, you know what, I can't do that because it requires special climate to be jubilant. I don't know, I'll figure that out. It's not important right now. That was basically the whole weekend. The only other thing I got done, if you're really astute, you might notice my hearts are different color. In the background while I was doing this, I also crafted, I went to the wrong tab, crafted the yellow and the green heart canisters. I didn't have to unlock anything since I'd long since done all the Thaumcraft research for it. I just hadn't actually sat down and done this. Because of the green heart specifically, I did set up a LCR that is for like on-demand crafting. It's only got 3 patterns in it at the moment: calcite, raw silicone, and this jeweled apple, which the jeweled apple is what I needed for the green hearts, which did require a lot. I mean, it took a huge hit out of my diamond supply to get all the jeweled apples needed for it, but that's alright. The reason I set up the silicone and the calcite in here though was because for conduit, one of the ingredients ultimately needs raw silicone, and because of my auto crafting, I'd actually run out. I am backlogging up now, and I'll kind of go over that because there's a bigger issue that was causing me to run out of the silicone in the first place. And then calcite was for the limestone. Just to be able to have this on demand is very helpful because it's made from a bunch of material I don't currently use at the moment. That was weird. The way I moved my house over, I thought there was an Enderman over here. So that was the weekend. I don't think I did anything else that I can think of. But on to today, I started making pretty good progress on the Monazite line. So last we had left off, I'd been up to this multi-block. The first multi-block I set up for the day was this dissolution tank. Actually, before we get to that, because this by itself requires some explanation, what I did set up as well was a more intricate layout. So I kind of figured at some point I was going to run out of channels if I just used the one P2P main neck. Like if we go over here, currently, let me click on this guy. I'm using 7 already just for random maintenance stuff. But if I hop over to here, you can see currently I've got 8, and that includes some miscellaneous storage, this reservoir just to have water in the system, an excess thing because of this is how I was putting chemicals back in that I was just grabbing for getting the researches done before I had this guy, and then just little things like that. But I wanted to have storage over on this. So this green line is the subnet that's basically the top end subnet for the Monazite line that I have going. So the idea is I have wrapped around the whole thing. Doesn't show as well here, but I've got the main network, and this is, I use it for if I need to insert any items from like outside, for example, to make nitric acid, which is a big part of this line. This guy will insert my hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and then kind of same thing over here. This is where I make it. If I had paid attention and gone ahead, I would have actually thrown these two and this guy all together, because this guy is basically just taking nitric acid. Well, one of them makes ammonia. One of them takes ammonia and nitric acid to make the nitric ammonia solution, whatever it's called, something like that, but you need it for several steps in the line. And then this guy's ultimately just a vacuum freezer for hot ingots for specifically this line, which actually when I was looking at it, I kind of assumed the final ingot would need to be cooled, but it doesn't appear to, but some of the side lines do. Then just to be channel efficient, I am still utilizing P2P. So over here, I've got the 2 different controllers set up for this subnet to like be able to P2P out off the controller and have way more channels available to me and just make things less annoying. So you can see I was utilizing the colors I have recently come into plentiful amounts of. The only thing, just kind of a random aside, I kind of made a mistake. I decided to go with green for the Monazite line because the thing's kind of like dark green, and then orange for this just because orange is the color of the main line I have coming up this tower. However, this little P2P subnet, I should have made this a different color, and I did rectify it over there where I made it lime green instead of green, so I don't need to use these anchors everywhere because I think they're kind of ugly, especially because they like make the smart cable block up like this. But eventually I'll do a spray can and I'll go through and fix that, or maybe not, I don't know. But so basically I've got running around the room the green line, the power, the main net, then I go P2P into the individual parts, and then I kind of went with the standard going forward, at least for all these lines, so I don't have to future proof them or anything. I am not using any sort of output buses. I am only using, or like standard ones, I am only using the ME output. I'm still just using regular input buses instead of advanced docking hatches or what have you that I do have available. This seemed harmless enough for the moment. We'll see. Also, I realized later when I was reading something else, I did not need to use HSS coils for this. Apparently the coil level makes zero difference on this block, but for some reason I get desperate for coils, maybe I'll swap these guys back, but for the moment it's fine. Especially with the Mega EBF, the coils craft relatively fast. But so after this digester, which basically gets us the muddy Monazite, which is the first part of the line, we need to run that through a dissolution tank to make a diluted version. And you're going to see like a pattern as we go. Like basically there's a step, then we got to dilute it. There's a step, then we got to dilute it. And then sometimes sift it in between to get some of the impurities out. But this dissolution tank is kind of interesting because specifically the only way it runs is if you have the perfect ratio of whatever two liquids you're combining in there come together. So like in the case of the Monazite line, come over here. We got this watery mud, sifting, dilution again. Where is it? I think it is this step. So we take the muddy and saltpeter to get this diluted. Specifically, you have to mix it with water, and you can see it has this ratio 10-1. You have to put it in at this amount. So that ran in, that was like the first main kind of like, how do I do that? So for me, I went to the Wikipedia and kind of followed its guide, and I did leave the 4 out here so I can showcase it. I don't know why I've been having trouble with my hover mode. Just seems to randomly not work at the moment. Why? Hold on. I don't understand what's happening with that. It's really frustrating. Enable. Work. Hover. Oh, whatever. I'll just try to hold on the edge. I just don't want to be like bouncing all crazy for this. So basically what I got going on here, and I'll show the back, is so the way I went with to get the right ratio into the dissolution tank is to go with a little mini subnet within this like Monazite line subnet. So this guy specifically, we've got a chest here with water and the muddy Monazite, and then 2 storage buses on this controller. Over on the backside, which I will go around to show after I get out from under here, I've got this dual interface. On both sides of the dual interfaces are 2 input hatches, and then I basically created a recipe, as you can kind of see from me highlighted here, for the diluted Monazite that calls for, in this case, 90,000 water and 90,000 water and 90,000 water and 9,000 muddy. Sorry, I don't know why I was derping on the math there. It's, you just move the decimal point. But anyways, so because I'm using the recipe 9, the bigger recipe takes a little longer, but that's fine, especially with this current setup. So basically the recipe calls for this. Over here is a level maintainer and then crafting storage so that it has the ability to craft on this little mini network. This level maintainer, we just got 1 in here, doesn't really, now my hovering's working. Sweet. That's frustrating. I just screwed this up. Here, we can fix it pretty easily though. Muddy. Man, sorry. I didn't. Apparently, holding space clears that out. We need muddy Monazite. I just need 1. Yeehaw. Go into this level maintainer, drop this guy here, and then it doesn't really matter. If you parallelize this, apparently you need to add more than 1 here, according to Wikipedia. I don't think I'll need to parallelize this for a long time, but this will take a few seconds and then it'll figure itself out. But, because, we have plenty of fluid. Basically what's happening is, so because this is connected to these 2 storage buses, if the and then there's no actual storage for the muddy or the diluted stuff on this little mini subnet, it's always going to trigger the level maintainer to craft more. But this guy over here does need to be on blocking mode, so it doesn't try to push more, and it only shows in specifically the ratio you want. So the auto level maintainer will trigger, start crafting the recipe. It'll push the 2 liquids in at the right ratio, and then we've got a storage bus and interface set up here with this filter to the output, so it does trigger through here and it does complete the craft. And then just a simple up here input bus for some saltpeter. Now this guy's gonna be spazzing out. Why are you not working? Muddy Monazite. Oh. I grabbed the wrong stuff. The Muddy Monazite is the input. We need that to be the output. Oh god. Diluted. Yeah, I need this stuff. Diluted, Monazite, rare earth. I'm gonna fix that off camera because basically what I need to do now is craft this stuff, like force a recipe, not allow it to input over here, which is this guy. So I'll just break this line, and then that'll get it into the system, and then I can pull it out and I can reset up the level maintainer, because you can't just use like phantom drops to fix this. That's really annoying that did that. But anyways, so the next step after that is it comes into the sifter. This sifter is the only part of the line that I'm reusing multi-blocks, just because this recipe, when it is firing off, takes 200 seconds to complete. So the next few steps that bring out dusts or various dusts that need to be sifted again, there's plenty of time for this guy to be able to handle it in between recipes over here, so this guy gets repeated. But basically everything after this line is just following the quest book, and then setting up whatever multi-block is needed. I guess even set up a multi-block for the ore washer, which is probably unnecessary, but again, in case this all needs to be scaled up in the future, that'll just make it that much easier. I don't need the worst case. I'll be upgrading hatches and stuff, and but I think this will be pretty much future-proofed. So the point I got to in the line was right here, this nitration time again. I got this guy. Got two, which is this LCR. Where I kind of paused, or the last thing, because I was kind of looking around to figure out how it works. So this next step is another mixer, which I do have. I think I have everything currently auto crafting or crafted that'll be the remaining steps of this. So I do expect I will have this finished either tonight or tomorrow. But the next step after this is a mixer, and it says you got two options: either mixing it with just water, or mixing it with this stuff, this cerium rich mixture, which I was looking at to try to figure out how to get, and it does seem like it needs to come out of the basanite line, and I didn't want to mess around with that yet, because apparently that's a whole line in itself, and I just want to finish out this guy. So I think I'm going to start off with using water. The reason you'd want to use this is it doubles the ore, but I'll start off using water, and then I'll leave myself a big old note that as soon as I have this set up somewhere in the system, to come back, fix it, and go to doubling the ores. And then, like I said, the rest of these guys along the main path are just multi-blocks. I do also plan on setting up all these side paths, and finishing out like this whole section and block at once, because the side paths all seem pretty simple. There was only one kind of like weird curveball, which is over here in this hafnium stuff, which is you need iodine. So again, I used the quest book because I didn't know how to get iodine, and apparently you actually get it from fishing. So I did set up this little multi-block. I haven't built a hut for it yet, but I do plan on just kind of doing like a little fishing hut around it, because I think that would look a little charming. It doesn't actually need to be out over the water, but I don't know, it felt right for the, the aesthetic of everything. And basically, this guy just runs and simulates fishing, and in this case, it's getting all this stuff for me. And I just set up a little subnet back here where I have the 10 items filtered that I actually want to keep from fishing, and then everything else just going to the trash. Then I've got this storage bus here on it to the main, this is actually the main network, but it is on extract only so that I'm not accidentally sending stuff in here and voiding it, because I imagine this is probably like a dangerous thing, but you know, if I ever accidentally click that, it could go disastrously. And otherwise, that was it. So like I said, for the... Oh, there was one thing I wanted to mention. So, one of the multi-blocks that I need to craft, and then the silicone stuff, kind of led me to the realization, I've been kind of like fighting it, and you can see all these random gold upgrades, is that this whole thing over in my B processing is due for an update. This kind of storage is no longer cutting it. I'm constantly basically having all these machines shut down because I didn't want to throw void upgrades on everything and then just having it, basically the whole system running for nothing. You know, I wanted to keep the resources, basically being kind of greedy about it. But I do think I'll probably leave these guys up for aesthetics, or maybe not. I don't know. Future, have it grow with the times. Either way, the storage over here, and then consequently a lot of the setups of how I have things done over here will need to get like a facelift to better be integrated into AE, which will probably be yet another subnet, like just dedicated to bees, but that'll keep things from jamming up constantly, because it does happen pretty regularly now. And then whenever things jam up, the stuff I do have on passive that is used quite a bit, like this raw silicone, I end up basically having to come to a stop. Or more concerningly, my uranium, which wasn't processing or getting processed anymore, which is actually even needed for some multi-blocks. Like we're going back up now, which is good, but I don't want to run out of this stuff because this stuff powers the base, and having anything that prevents that is bad. But so that's a future. This will probably be something I immediately tackle once I finish up this monazite line over here, and then I think from the monazite line I'll either go to platinum, or I didn't realize I turned off my night vision, or this line up here for the osmiridium. Not really sure which one I'll go to first. I think I might, I don't know. Well, we'll see how I feel after I clean up the bead area. But that is actually it for me today. I hope everyone else has a good day, and thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.